Welcome to A Seeker Among Seekers. My name is April Bond. As you may or may not know, my two primary systems of practice are yoga and witchcraft. And I got into yoga when I was 18. I just through kind of a fluke moved to an ashram in Virginia called Yogaville. And at that time, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself going forward, so it was a cheap place for me to be, and I learned about yoga. It was my first experience of any kind of yoga. I lived there for several months, and during that time I read a lot of literature on yoga and the philosophy of yoga. And by yoga, I don't actually mean asana, the postures that you would do in a yoga class. I mean the philosophical system that is based on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which includes asana as one of 8 limbs. So there are 7 other categories in addition to the postures that you might do in a yoga class. Yoga just hung around in my life after that, sort of in the background. I came and went from an asana practice, but my beliefs were very influenced by the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and by the writings of the guru of the ashram, Sri Swami Satchidananda. And I continued in that sort of alternative spiritual direction. I read some Baba Ram Das and some Eckhart Tolle and some, the Crack in the Cosmic Egg and whatnot. And then when I was 30, I moved to France. And while I was living in France, I had a dream that I was being attacked by something sort of supernatural. And it was at that time that I decided that I really needed a system of protection. And I got really, really interested in witchcraft. I started reading a lot of books on witchcraft, many of which were Wiccan inspired. I am not Wiccan personally, but I had to use what I could find. I was in France trying to read books in English on witchcraft, so it was a little bit more difficult. In addition to the reading, I also scavenged a branch from the woods behind the place where I was living to make a wand, and I got a blank book to use as a book of shadows. So a couple of months later, that urgency I had felt to protect myself had diminished quite a bit, and I was faced with the idea of actually casting spells. And I just never felt confident enough to do it, or to even try. And not because I wasn't confident that I would have the power, although that probably would have been something I was not very confident about either, but really I just wasn't confident that I knew what was best for me. Now, this might be the residue of growing up in a system where I was told that I didn't know what was best for me. I was told that God knew what was best for me and that I should leave things alone. And that's certainly one thing that is worth discussing. If you guys have experience with that, especially you witches out there, I would really like to hear how you decided what you would like to cast a spell to get. So here I go right back to yoga, thinking what I really need is more introspection, more meditation, more aligning myself with the divine component of my being, so I could know what would be best for me, what would be the most beneficial to our world for me to try to achieve. Having been brought up in this monotheistic Christian faith, it's difficult for me to separate the higher self or spirit guides or angels or whatever from that sort of will of an omniscient God. So you can see I sort of backed myself into a corner because my higher self, I can't seem to separate the idea of a higher self or spirit guides or angels or whatever you call on to help you. If that's not omniscient and all-powerful, then why am I asking? And if it is omniscient and all-powerful, then why isn't everything running according to plan? Why do I need to cast a spell at all? Is it only to realize my power? Is this some kind of a test? I'd really like to hear if you have had a similar experience, if you had to work up the courage to cast spells, if you had to reprocess your upbringing to believe that you know best for yourself. Did you come up against any beliefs that inhibited you from taking charge and casting spells? How did you work through those questions? Who do you talk to? Who are your guides? Are they spirits? Are they ancestors? Is it a deity? Is it an alien? What makes you think that they know? I mean, even if spirits linger after death, there's no real evidence that says that they're omniscient or even that they have your best interests at heart. So how do you decide where you get your information? Do you think that Tantra, Vedanta yoga is incompatible with witchcraft? If you are a witch who has a monotheistic, omniscient God faith, how do you reconcile that with the idea that you should interfere in this reality to get your will done? So that's the topic for discussion for today, and I look forward to seeing your comments. I hope that you find this a worthwhile topic and that you have something to contribute to the conversation, because this is a real situation for me and I would really like to know. So please put your responses in the comments. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with anyone that you think might be an interesting part of this dialogue and would be willing to contribute to our community. I will see you in the next video. Namaste.